Happy New Year! I hope it will be for you. We have some advice for you on how to make it one.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I hope you guys were smart enough not to be jumping in the icy cold water to celebrate the beginning of the new year. We are, I guess we did already. I always sometimes flip the shows. We record our programs early in the afternoon. By the way, it's our first program of 2018 original. Thank you for tuning in to the shows. That's Lexi going, woo! She's made a resolution this year to make weird noises offset so that we know there is one, meaning Alexi. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the polar plunge. I guess we would have already spoken to people who actually did do the polar plunge on New Year's Day. They clearly have lost their minds, hopefully not their lives. Go to the website, 630wpro.com, and listen to the podcast of that conversation if you want to hear crazy people. But most of those events have been postponed until later in the month. This is just a bone-chilling week, which is going to have a little bit of a break, and then we'll have another bone-chilling session coming up this weekend. Just be careful. I mean, the amount of people that are out there without hats, well, like, what are you proving? You know, I don't like my hair to get messed up, but there's not enough to worry about. You know, cover up. Remember, the extremities are where all the heat escapes. Anyway, the General Assembly getting together today for the first time, and the PawSox legislation is going to be introduced on Thursday. Actually, introduced today and voted on in the Senate Finance Committee on Thursday. We'll get to that later in the week as it becomes, you know, more real. And it's going to get real fast. I heard the Speaker of the House, Nick Mattiello, on the radio this morning on WPRO suggesting that he wanted to hear from the people. I don't know what mechanism he's using to hear from the people, but we'll evaluate that over the next month because I think this is crunch time for that conversation. All right, let's get off the small talk and get to the meaty, beady, big and bouncy of how you can get all healthy in 2018. Katie's back. Anyway, look at these headlines just to start and really. The science of keeping New Year's resolutions. Well, we'll talk about that according to the New York Times. They've got some key thoughts. And then there's this. Why losing weight in the new year be harder than you think? I don't know. You're a holistic specialist. Welcome. Happy New Year. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
You know, I get this. Everybody comes into a holiday season and a new year, I think, in a different place. But some of the conversations just feel redundant.
Yes.
Don't they?
Yes.
Say, okay. I mean, I love seeing you. You look wonderful as always. You've got
you.
tremendous advice, most of which I should listen to, half of which I do listen to. I feel guilty every time we're done with this conversation because I'm not doing half of what I should be doing, blah, blah, blah. I do eat my greens every morning, by the way, although you're supposed to change them up. I remember Katie's always saying that. But as somebody who works in the get your act together business, right? Don't you get bored of telling people how to get their act together from time to time?
No, because my job is to help them get quiet and be reflective because we all know what we need to do.
To get quiet.
Yeah, that's it. It's the answers are already there. You know, we're our own gurus. We just need to slow down enough to listen to the expertise that's already there. What do you think?
Got it?
Yeah?
What do you mean?
I mean that we all know what we need to do, and we're not doing it. And one of the reasons that we're not doing it is we're choosing busyness, we're choosing avoidance, we're choosing distraction, instead of just quieting down a little bit and saying, okay, who do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? And bring in that intentionality instead of just reactive. You're right, people have the same resolutions year after year. Well, what if we slowed down and said, why aren't we doing it? What is it? What are the obstacles?
Yeah, I don't know if we have the same resolutions year after year. I just think the whole pattern of resolving at the beginning of the year is a drag in and of itself.
I don't like them. I don't like resolutions. I think they're just wishes without legs. Yeah, we've got to have habits behind them. Right? We've got to decide, how do I want this year to be? And we're back to what we talked about last time, picking one word that's the umbrella for the year that helps us to make choices in our life. From moment by moment, what are we doing? Day by day, our habits are what define us. So let's make sure our habits reflect the life we want. If we want to be healthy, well, what does that mean? Somebody who's healthy would make sure that they're moving and keeping the cardio going, moving their bodies. Somebody who wants to be healthy would make sure they get adequate sleep, right? These things, we need to start with this vision of the life that we have, the vision of the life we want, and then start building the habits beneath it, create a foundation.
Sleep is important, isn't it?
It is. It's very underrated, right? But it is absolutely, it can make or break our success with the rest of the habits. If we're tired, we're screwed. We're not going to make good food choices. We're more likely to blow off the gym. So yeah, it's a snowball effect.
So this notion that so many people make physical resolutions, meaning exercise and the like, and I was over at the gym this afternoon. It didn't seem as midday crowded as it usually is.
Yeah.
Although midday is a hard time of the day to evaluate whether the place is crashing in with new exercisers. But I'm guessing late in the afternoon it will be. Well, you got to start somewhere. I don't want to discourage people who are thinking, you know what, I'm making a commitment to do this, and if it happens to be a calendar culture decision, fine, right?
But we got to start where we are and who we are. So let's say we say, I want to start exercising. And we think the only way to do that is to go to the gym midday for an hour. And that's our definition of exercise. Well, the majority of people are not going to be able to do that. That's not going to work for their schedule. We have to know who we are. We have to know how what are our peak times? When are we going to really make it possible for us to be successful? We got to set ourselves up for success. Know who you are. That's getting quiet again, knowing who you are. Like for me, if I don't exercise in the morning, it's not going to happen. So I have to make sure I protect that time. I don't see my first client until 9, because if I took an 8 o'clock client, that would prevent me from doing my morning routine, which is rather vast and really nourishing for me. So I protect it and I make sure that happens first, and then the rest of life works around that. And that's how we can bring about the change.
Yeah, I do find that most people I know, there are some extraordinary people I know who actually can park later in the day to get an exercise routine in. But I find it from schedule, it's as the day gets away, it's hard.
For me it is,
It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's got a different clock and all that kind of thing. But when you say that your morning program is, what, vast or involved? I mean, how involved is it? What do you do?
Well, I think we all need morning routines. It's the start of the day. It's our kind of putting the flag on the moon and saying this is the way I want my day to be. But I meditate every day. I journal every morning. So my morning routine is I wake up, I journal, I meditate. I always have my green tea as well. And then I exercise and I review my day and plan my top 3 things I want to accomplish for the day.
You journal, meaning you write down what?
So I reconnect with the goals that I set. So those resolutions that are fantasies, I really kind of put some heft behind it. I make sure that I'm connecting with it every day. What are my annual goals? What are my quarterly goals? What are my monthly goals? And then I look at the week. I just kind of start big and then zone down, drill down to a daily basis. And that way I'm staying connected to it and making sure that my choices...
Well, what are you writing? What do you write?
So I write any new observations I've had. I write the successes that I've had from the day before, what worked, what didn't work, people I want to connect with, a dream I might have had, something I wanted to share with somebody that I love, ideas for my business. I'm always like, how can I inspire people?
So notes for the day, are they in one template or?
Yeah, I have it in one journal every day. And last year was the first day I journaled every single day. And there are the times I would blow it off pretty easily. Just, I'm too busy, or nothing significant of the day. But I really built the muscle of being consistent, and that's what we really struggle.
What benefit do you get from writing?
I gain awareness. It's getting that quiet again. My hand might be moving, but I'm really connecting with myself and figuring out what is it that I need to just make sure that I'm aligning my life. All day long, we're pulled away from ourselves. And so when we're journaling, when we're meditating, we're getting kind of back in, we're integrating, we're getting back into our lives and into our bodies.
And what's the meditation like?
Well, I've been trained in a formal Zen Buddhist practice, but basically it's a matter of just noticing your thoughts and not attaching to them. And that sounds like fluff, but the bottom line is when a thought comes up, I just get back to the breath. in, out, and I just sit for 20 minutes. But I've experimented with what happens on the days that I don't do it, and what happens is I get sloppy. My food gets messy, my thoughts get messy, my self-talk gets a little grumbly. So I realize it really is a fundamental thing that I commit to. It's part of my daily practice.
So the meditation is not focusing on something; it's focusing on nothing.
That's yeah. I mean, it's actually the spaces between the thoughts. That's what I want to access when I'm meditating. There's so much busy. There's spaces between the breath, spaces between the thoughts. That's what I want to get to. That's where all the wisdom is.
You want the spaces between the thoughts to get larger?
Yeah.
The thoughts to get smaller?
Yeah, because we're not everything we think, right? It's like right? Do you believe everything you think?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of stuff going on up there.
Right?
This is getting really deep, really fast. And we have 2 more segments.
This is our plunge.
Hold on. We'll be right back. Oh, first, let me just tell you that this isn't so deep. Just get yourself a card valet, will you? Download the app from Navigant Credit Union. You find it simply by going to the App Store. Duh. You need a membership or just an account, because they're the same thing at Navigant Credit Union, and you'll find that everything in your banking life can come to the palm of your hand. And you really don't even have to meditate. You can just look at it. But you can write things down, because there's a journal application as well. We'll be right back.
An analysis of 30 recent studies confirms sugar-sweetened drinks are linked to obesity in both children and adults. The studies included nearly 250,000 people around the world. Researchers say some nations are still doing little to decrease consumption of sugary drinks. And if you're making a New Year's resolution to lose weight, experts at Baylor College of Medicine say focus on making changes in your routine to improve your health, and the weight loss will follow. They recommend eating more fruits and vegetables, eating protein with every meal, cutting out those sugar-sweetened beverages, and, of course, exercising. They don't recommend going to extremes, saying the science doesn't back up detoxes or juice cleanses.
True?
I love a good juice cleanse. I do. It's, but, you know, I understand. So people will be doing what they're doing, and then they'll do a cleanse, and then they'll go right back to what they're doing. And really the cleanse is just an opportunity to clean out, to get really mindful about what you're eating, and then keep as much as what you were doing in the cleanse with your daily life.
What's a juice cleanse? What is it?
So what I'll typically do is 1 day a week I'll do nothing but green juices. And I love it because it's a reset button. So for me...
So that's all you consume?
Yeah.
No food?
No. But that's how I roll. I don't expect everyone else to. But no. But what's great, so it can be any version of it. It can be just simply one day saying, today I'm going to be really deliberate about what I eat, and I'm going to eat as close to nature as possible. That can be your version of a cleanse. But what happens is people do cleanses, they feel great, and then they go right back to where they were, as if, you know, they felt great because they were doing things that made them feel great. So let's keep those things going.
I'll tell you, it's so funny. I'm not going to identify this person, but this guy at the card game I play at the weekly a couple of weeks ago, he looked miserable. I said, "You all right, man?" He's like, just in the middle of a cleanse. I'm in the middle of a cleanse. I said, "How's that going for you?" He's like, I do it every once in a while. I don't know. It's just I said, "Well, does it make you happy?" He's like, "Do I look happy?" I said, "Okay, man. Good luck with that cleanse." I have the pain that people put themselves through for reasons that they think they should do. And I don't know what is science and there's research.
I'd rather have them just, eat more vegetables. Like just start with that. It crowds out the other stuff.
Right.
And then you start feeling good, and then you want to feel good, right?
Right.
And then you just keep moving along.
Yeah, attaching a concept to nutritional concept to feeling, like when I'm watching this diet, this fruit juice thing. I think I told you this. Now I think this might be the 5th year anniversary of me not having any more soda. I stopped soda 5 years ago. Didn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Carbonation has a funky thing for me.
Yeah.
Gives me air pockets. Not like too much information, I know, but you may have, So I'm out of the carbonation and out of the soda business for 5 years, and now when I look at it, like 2 years in, I was craving. Oh man, but just not. And now I'm like, oh.
So your association with it is different, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll have some iced tea at night now, with no sugar, and like lemonade. There was a lot of lemonade in the house because it wasn't carbonated. And now I look at that, you know, I really don't need to put that in my system. So there are things that you can associate with.
But you need enough distance from it, right? So
Right.
that you can,
It takes work to create the distance.
yeah, you need to create enough distance so you can decide whether you want to choose it again. So I was experimenting last year, and I continue doing it, saying, okay, for this month or for the next 100 days, I'm going to do X. And then I'm going to evaluate and choose again, how do I feel? So I'll often do this with my clients, say, okay, for this month, what we're going to do is you're going to do yoga every day. Because they want to do yoga, they feel good when they do it, but let's just evaluate. Let's just go a full everyday yoga. And then after the end of the month, you get to decide, is this something I want in my life? And if you don't feel dramatically better, if you don't now associate it with something nourishing and wonderful, then choose to not do it.
You gotta do the yoga. I haven't been to yoga class in 4 months.
You feeling it?
I'm so tight
Yeah.
and a little ornery.
Thanks for the heads up.
No, I mean, not my overall, just.
You miss it.
Yeah, and it's not big Zen, you know, namaste, yeah, thank you, you know, but it's quiet time. You do think about your body.
Yeah.
You do think about, oh, geez, oh, that. You do get clumsy, and you realize that it's a good thing.
What I love about yoga is it gets us back in our body. Most of us are living neck up. We're hanging out in our heads. Back to those thoughts again, right?
Right.
And it's like, let's just get back into our bodies. When we get back into our bodies, we make the choice. When I eat this, I feel this. Do I want to feel this? Okay, then eat this, right?
Yeah.
And start getting thoughtful and deliberate.
All right, we kind of got into the middle of the sandwich here a little bit. Is there, well, you know what, we'll break here. We'll come back and see if Katie's got an overall philosophy for 2018. I guess I'm in that cyclical trap again. We'll be right back. Maybe I'm getting guilted into this. Are you going to yoga this week? I get during the break. You know what? The Friday class. No, I have a commitment. I don't know. But you know what? Even stretching at home is not a bad idea, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the commitment is to you. You've just got to decide, what am I willing to give up to get what I want, right? And you got to start with, first, what do you want? How do you want to feel?
Yeah. What's your overall theme this year? Is there a theme?
Yeah.
What is it?
So this is a word that just feels so naughty and delicious. For me, spacious. Not working for you?
No, I just wanted to digest it for a second.
Right. You wanted some space around it. So spacious, because
Spacious.
yeah, it's the space between the busyness, right? It's like I'm an active person, I'm a passionate person, I love being engaged in life, but I need to slow it down a little bit. I need to just lean into quiet a little bit more in day in and day out. I tend to just choose busyness, and I want to do a little less doing and a little more being.
You're probably getting a lot of this. Yeah.
But think spacious could be more space on my plate and less food on it, right? More space in like going for a walk and not feeling like it needs to be, you know, preparing for a marathon, right? Just this sense of expansiveness.
Here's the thing here's what's hard. And by the way, all Katie's information is on the website at foxprovidence.com, and the business is Be Nourished. Be the letter B, nourished. And is it .com, by the way? It is bnourished.com.
Yeah.
There's the website. And if you want to be a client, well, let her know. Here's what's not easily spaced: the clock.
Yeah.
Okay, so the calendar doesn't move and the clock doesn't move.
It's the great equalizer. We all have the same amount of time, right? But the question is, how are we going to invest it? So are we going to just react through our days, or are we going to be intentional and deliberate about them? And that's what I love about the New Year's Eve time. We stop and we think, how do I want the year to be, right? That's the idea behind resolutions. We just start thinking about it, because most of the time we're asleep at the wheel. So it's about waking up and just saying, okay, I've got this 1 year. How do I want to spend this great adventure? So how do you want to spend this great adventure that is 2018, Dan?
I don't know. It's a very deep question. I'll have to. I don't know. As I said at the beginning, I think there's some Holiday seasons will feel different depending on family, experiences, where you are, what you've been through, da-da-da-da. Everyone's been through that, oh, I just want to get through the holiday season time. And mine was fine. I'm not, you know, I'm not on your couch going, oh, it's terrible. I'm just saying there's certain years where you may look at a new year and say, whew, thank God. I really want to jumpstart. And then there's certain times, the guy in the locker room today at the gym, I heard him talking to the other guy. He goes, man, sometimes the years move by so fast now I can't even tell the difference between the two. And I get that. I get that. Even though I had, even myself had a 10-day break. It's, okay, all right.
But the only thing that's going to change that is if we slow down and we take control of it again, that we decide the pace on our own lives.
What about worry? A lot of people are worried a lot.
Yeah.
Anxious, worry. What do you do about anxiety without taking medicine?
Yeah, so I'm married to a psychiatrist, you know that, right?
No.
Yeah, so, yeah.
That's an advantage.
Yeah, it is actually.
You're cheating.
Yeah, I know. But he's off duty most days at home, so that's good. So what I do, I mean, it starts with nutrition as far as I'm concerned. There are foods that will rev us up. And there are foods that ground us and root us, and that's what I'm looking for in food. I turned to food first, in terms of our emotional well-being as well. So sugar is going to rev us up. Alcohol is going to do the same. It's going to rev us up, then crash us, much like the other forms of sugar would. So really eating whole foods make us whole.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you feel nervous, eat better.
Absolutely. Well, at least get that foundation, right? And the other thing is to just take some deep breaths, which is such a cliche, but it's true. It's, again, getting
Square
back to
breathing.
that quieting. Absolutely. And journaling is a wonderful tool. I use essential oils, introduce my clients to essential oils as a wonderful tool. The tea, the practice of tea, is a beautiful opportunity to pause and just catch your breath and just be fully present in smelling that tea. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful ritual. I introduce all my clients to it on day one of their work with me over a 6-month period. I greet them with a pot of tea and their own supply of an herbal blend I make, because I want them to start creating pauses throughout the day so they can reconnect with themselves. They can make good choices about how they feed themselves, what they think, how they live their lives. And the only way we do that is when we pause.
So space and pausing
Yeah.
and quieting and all of that.
Because the world wants us to go in the other direction. The world will pull us into noise. It'll pull us into chaos. And it's like we've got to keep ourselves rooted in who we are and how we want to serve.
Okay? You got all that? And if someone is looking at the screen going, I'm sure it's all correct. I just don't know how to get there. Give me the 20-second. How do you get there? How do you get to a place where you start to explore these new options in life? What do you do?
Go for a walk. Bundle up. Go for a walk.
This week.
Yeah, just awaken your senses. Smell the cup of tea as you're drinking it. Go outside and note it. Look, just wake up your senses. And that's when you know. That's how you start. It's how you get back into your own body and into your own life.
Go for a walk.
Yeah, simple.
That
We can all
seems
do
so
it.
simple. I bet you a lot of people don't.
The answers are simple. It's just we're not always willing to show up for ourselves in the way we show up for everybody else. And I'm asking you to just give yourself the same respect.
Happy New Year.
And to you.
Check her out on the website, foxprovidence.com, bnourished.com. Be right back. Seriously, you know what? If you're rolling into 2018 looking for some answers, bnourished.com would be a great place for you to get some thought. Anyway, we'll see you on the radio tomorrow at 3 on WPRO. Legislature has started to do some funny stuff already, so we're on that. Good night.